Welcome back to Horror Movie Month. I am so excited to continue talking about horror movies, and today I'm going to be talking about what is considered by many horror fans, by many diehard horror fans I should say, and myself, as the goriest movie ever made. Some of you may not know what this movie is if you guys aren't horror fans or diehard horror or even diehard horror fans. But I'm about to talk about a movie that has always held a special place in my heart ever since I first saw it. It's called Dead Alive, also known as Braindead. It came out in 1992 and was directed by Peter Jackson, the same man behind the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So Dead Alive revolves around a man named Lylon and his girlfriend Pita, I think that's her name. They go out on a date to the zoo one day, and while they're there, Lila's mother goes with them, and tragedy strikes when she is bitten by a Sumatran rat monkey, which later causes her to turn into a zombified monstrosity and go on a killing spree, which later affects the people she kills to become one of her. And of course, chaos strikes really hard, actually. I've been doing this for a while now, guys. I've seen a lot of movies, I've experienced a lot of stuff, and I'm brutally honest when I say this. Dead Alive is the goriest movie I have ever seen in my life. Not Saw, not I Spit on Your Grave, not Cannibal Holocaust, not even the original Evil Dead from 1981. Nor the remake. Dead Alive tops every single gory movie that ever existed. And people who have seen this movie will definitely agree with me. And I'm sure there's a handful of you people who haven't even seen this movie. It's a cult favorite in the horror genre, and for many reasons. I've always loved Dead Alive. I've always had a very big heart for this movie. It's extremely fun. It's witty. It's even cheesy at times, but it's a good cheesy. It's not a bad cringe. It doesn't give you a bad cringe. You actually really do get invested in the story and the wackiness of the film that it brings at times. And these were the early days of Peter Jackson, where his inspiration just blew through the roof, and you could just tell that Peter Jackson was having a blast with what he made. Dead Alive has some of the best practical effects I've ever seen in the horror genre. They are groundbreaking. They are absolutely mind-blowing. And it makes me think that I would love to gather some of these practical effects for films I'd love to work on in the future, because I love horror movies and I'd love to work on horror movies in the future, honestly. That's definitely one of these genres that I would love to focus on. But aside from the practical effects and how amazing the blood and the gore is in this movie, what really makes this movie stand out are its characters. Our two main characters really do move this film in a lot of ways. They're lovable, they're very funny. Lylon and Paquita are very adorable in this movie, and I really love their chemistry. And Lylon's chemistry with his mother was really well done too. I really loved their chemistry, and you can tell they really loved each other as a mother and son relationship. And it all really worked until you actually find out more about the mother. And that's not until like the final moments of the movie. And it absolutely gives you a different perspective of Lylon and his mother's relationship. And although it doesn't necessarily need to be in the film, I do give props to Peter Jackson for actually making us care for both Lylon and his mother. Dead Alive is also a pretty quotable movie too. There are a lot, like I said, there are a lot of wacky elements, but good wacky. They're extremely fun and they're highly memorable. And you can quote this movie once you first see it, and you can remember some of the quotes that are in this movie. Like for example, the scene where Lylon and Paquita run upstairs. Spoilers, by the way. I'm gonna explain some spoilers in this review. So if you haven't seen Dead Alive, either skip ahead of the spoilers or just click off this review and watch the movie, and then come back to this review. So Lilo and Paquita run upstairs and find his zombified mother with part of Paquita's dog's remains inside of Lylon's mother's mouth. And her performance is absolutely priceless. Your mother ate my dog! And Lylon turns to her and says, not all of it. And then you see the rest of the dog's remains on the bed. It's just so... oh my... They will never make horror movies like this ever again. Diana Penalver stole that scene, and as a whole, as an actress, she was excellent in this film. And I really wish she was in a lot more stuff, because Diana is really gorgeous in this movie. Really loved her performance in this film. I really wish she was in a lot more films. Tim Balmain does a really phenomenal job in this film too. As our main hero, you can tell that he's just this average guy, and he has no idea what to do with everything being thrown around him. His mother was bitten by the Sumatran rat monkey. He needs to take care of her. She turns to a zombie. Horrible stuff starts to happen, and you can tell that he's struggling everywhere. He has no idea what to do. And every time he does do something, he makes it smart and clever to try to avoid anyone else from being hurt. And that makes you care for Lionel a lot more. Easily my second favorite scene in this movie takes place in the graveyard, where Lionel and the priest are fighting the zombies. And the priest is all like, I kick ass for the Lord. It's so great. It is so great. It's easily one of the best comedic moments in horror, honestly. And you guys may think I'm just talking about wacky stuff, like where's the gore and stuff like that, like where's all the gory elements. You actually have to wait for stuff to go down. This movie likes to surprise you with many things. It has a really good story that you can easily get hooked in, wacky moments and comedic elements too, which is what really draws you into the film. And then when the second act is ending, that's when crap hits the fan completely. And then you get all your gore and blood pools, and it's ridiculous. It's so extremely violent and graphic. It's so bloody that it's almost an understatement for me to see it. You guys actually have to watch the movie to understand how gory Dead Alive is. Because when the gore does hit, it hits hard, like I said. And it never ends until the movie's actually over, when the gore actually starts. In all honesty, Dead Alive is a blast. It is an exploding through the roof experience. And if you don't believe me, check out the film for yourself, because it's one that I think all horror fans should see. And this is one of those rare, underrated horror gems. We will never receive horror movies like this almost ever again. So please, if you're a horror fan and if you haven't seen this film, do yourself a favor and watch Dead Alive. It is a must. And I do consider it a big classic in my book of horror films. As far as flaws go, it's hard to really pick a flaw with this movie, because this movie is extremely fun and incredibly gory, and it has so much passion put into it by Peter Jackson and his really great vision. I guess the only problem I really have with this movie, and it's not really a problem, because of its wackiness, I guess it kind of prevents it from being a masterpiece, I guess. I don't really hate its wackiness at all. Like I said, I really love this movie's comedic elements and its wacky elements. But if we're talking critical here, I guess those are the only things that prevent this movie from being a masterpiece. But other than that, I freaking love the heck out of Dead Alive. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite horror movies. It has really good acting, insane practical effects, with a stupid amount of gore. Please watch the movie. If you do not believe me, watch the movie. Because this movie is... it's gory fun. It is gory fun. It's truly everything a horror fan would want. Put straight into a gift basket for a horror fan. If you haven't seen Dead Alive, trust me, you will not be disappointed. I'm gonna give Dead Alive an A. Thank you guys so much for this review. Before I do my outro, I should also mention that this movie is also known as Braindead, because it originated in New Zealand. So across the ocean, across the seas, this movie is also called Braindead. So you can pronounce the movie as Dead Alive or Braindead if you really want to. I usually pronounce it both ways, but since I'm reviewing a movie, I just decided to pronounce it as the American title, Dead Alive. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this review. You guys are the best. I love every single one of you. And look forward to more horror movies that will be coming really soon for Horror Movie Month. And as always, if you're new here and you like what you see here, why not hit that subscribe button to join the EliB/520 community. And I will see you next time. Peace out.